Now to the war in Ukraine. The UN Humanitarian Coordinator for Ukraine, Denise Brown, says she's appalled by Russia's attack on a hotel in Zaporizhia that was used as a main base for UN staff and members of other humanitarian organizations. Ms. Brown said she and her colleagues had stayed at the hotel during their previous visits to the region, with the hotel serving as the UN base for the operation to evacuate civilians from the Azovstal plant in Mariupol last year. She's calling on Russia to comply with their obligations under international humanitarian law and immediately stop what she calls indiscriminate attacks on Ukraine. Ukraine's defense ministry said the hotel was also the site of a children's day camp that finished its daily operations about an hour before Russia's attack. One person was reported killed in that attack. In the meantime, two Russian Tu-160 strategic bombers have performed an 8-hour scheduled flight over the neutral waters of the Barents Sea and Arctic Ocean. According to footage released by Russia's defense ministry, the nuclear-capable supersonic aircraft, nicknamed White Swans by Russian flyers and given the NATO reporting name Blackjacks, were escorted by Su-35C fighter jets. Russian military officials said the flight was undertaken in accordance with international regulations. The defense ministry said Russian strategic aircraft routinely perform smaller flights over the waters of the Arctic, Northern Atlantic, Black and Baltic Seas, as well as the Pacific Ocean. Well, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba is calling last week's summit in Saudi Arabia aimed at peace efforts a breakthrough. Speaking in an interview, Mr. Kuleba said that this shows coalition building is possible to support a 10-point plan proposed by President Volodymyr Zelensky. More than 40 countries attended the peace talks in Jeddah.
I believe the meeting in Jeddah was a breakthrough, because for the first time we brought together countries representing entire world, not only Europe and North America, but entire world. Asia was present with India and China sitting at the table. Africa was present. South America was present. So, also, it is important to note that between the first meeting of this coordination group in Copenhagen a month ago and the meeting in Jeddah, the number of countries willing to participate has increased dramatically. So basically the dynamics is very positive. And, if I would put it this way, if a country wants to be in the front seat of world politics, it has to become part of these coordination meetings. Now, two countries who have weapons of this kind are Germany and the United States. We are in talks with both, and it was the subject, for example, it was one of the subjects of my conversation with Secretary of State Antony Blinken, just on last Friday. And the good news is that, unlike with all previous cases, our conversations with partners on new weapons started with a no. A no that would end up as yes. This time there is no no. They are open to discuss it. They are in the process of making their own calculations and analysis. And these options, I think they will be unlocked.
In the meantime, Mr. Kuleba says he is confident that Ukraine's dispute with Poland over grain can be resolved, telling Polish farmers that their common enemy is Russian President Vladimir Putin. Back in May, the EU allowed Bulgaria, Hungary, Poland, Romania and Slovakia to ban domestic sales of Ukrainian wheat, maize, rapeseed and sunflower seeds, while permitting transit of such cargoes for export elsewhere. However, the ban is set to end September the 15th.
We are grateful for what Poland has done for Ukraine and Ukrainians since the beginning of the aggression. This gratefulness is unquestionable. We completely disagree with the policy line Poland has taken on the issue of grain. We believe that grain should be out of politics. It should remain purely humanitarian issue. And I'm confident we will find a way out with our Polish friends, and relationship will not mess up entirely because this relationship is much broader and deeper. But yes, as of now, we are in a very difficult moment with Poland on the issue of grain. And the D-Day is, the key day will be 15th of September, when the European Commission is expected not to extend its restrictions. And then everything will depend on unilateral actions taken by Poland. And we hope that they will not take them. We are working with them. Ukrainian farmer is definitely not your enemy. It's a friend who works as hard as you do. Our common enemy is Russia, and the only country that celebrates any slightest discussion, argument between Ukrainians and Poles is President Putin. Let's not make him happy.
Well, staying with the Black Sea corridor, the Ukrainian Navy has announced temporary corridors for civilian shipping there following the suspension of the grain initiative. The Navy issued an order declaring temporary corridors for merchant ships sailing to and from Ukrainian ports. Currently, merchant ships are not traveling to and from the Ukrainian port of Odessa or neighboring harbors, crippling the export of grain from those ports. The last ship with grain on board left Odessa on July the 16th. The Ukrainian Navy said the route it had announced will primarily be used to allow civilian vessels that have been in the Ukrainian ports of Chernomorsk, Odessa and Yuzhny since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion. Russia withdrew from the arrangement last month.